Hey guys, I'm Becky and welcome to another video. Today I am starting a new quarterly video that I will be doing, which is basically a wrap-up, but not. So I haven't done a wrap-up in a very long time, and the main reason is because it felt a bit repetitive. I am not somebody who really enjoys making wrap-up videos or watching them if somebody does a lot of reading vlogs, because you're just talking about the books I've already heard you talk about a second time. Now, if the person doesn't do reading vlogs a lot or hasn't done one in a minute, or there are some creators who do wrap-up videos where they talk about the books they haven't talked about in other videos, then I'll sometimes check those out. But otherwise, it just feels like we've already talked about these books. Why are we talking about them again? So I haven't made one in a really long time. But now that I am back from my sabbatical, if you will, of being off of YouTube for a little bit, I have been scheduling breaks so that I don't get burnt out or overwhelmed again. So that means that there are some times where I'm reading books and I'm not talking to you about them. So I kind of thought, why don't we kind of bring back the wrap-ups, but let's make them quarterly. And instead of talking about all the books that I read, let's talk about the best and the worst from that quarter. So I'm going to be calling it my insert season here, highs and lows. So it'll be the highest rating, which is hopefully a 5-star every time. If I go 3 months without a 5-star. And then whatever the lowest rating is, which for me would be a 1-star / DNF as my lowest ranking that I go. But whatever is the lowest, all of the books that fall in that category as well. So like the in-betweens, who cares? Like, do I even want to talk about those with you? But sometimes I read a really good or really bad book that I do want to share with you. So here we are. So these are all of my winter highs and lows. I am categorizing winter as December, January, and February. And I will be talking about the books in the order that I read them for the most part. There's one that I took out of order, which will make total sense when we get to it. But otherwise is exactly in order. My highest rating was a 5-star, thank goodness. My lowest rating is a 2-star, which technically I might change the very last book in this list to be a 1-star. So the first book to talk about is Frisky the Snowman by Lauren Beale. In December, as I have been trying, I feel like my whole life, I celebrate Christmas and I try to read books that either take place in the winter or are Christmas romances or, yada yada. So of course, I tried reading some Christmas romance / smut, and there were some highs and there were some lows. And Frisky the Snowman was a low. So this is our first 2-star. To be completely transparent, I went into this book knowing this is probably going to be bad, and it was. So Frisky the Snowman is about a woman who has a unhealthy obsession with snowmen. Every year, she builds a snowman. She gives him a carrot nose and a carrot nether region, the biggest one she can find. In between, I'm assuming she lives in a state like Michigan where there are 4 seasons, because when it's not winter, she pleasures herself with the largest carrots she can find until she can finally get her snowman back. It starts off with this woman explaining that to us and building a snowman, and then having sex with the snowman just out in the open, just out in her front yard. Now, she does live kind of remote, so it's unlikely somebody would come across her, but it's not impossible, and that also gets her excited. So this book is so dumb. So she builds her snowman, she has her way with him, and then she goes to bed. And it turns out that I believe it's the hat she finds to put on him or something. Somehow it's magical, and he can come to life. And at first she doesn't really know, so the snowman comes to life and watches her in the house. And then finally they both realize what's happening, and also he understands how to get alive or animated, and his stuff is peppermint, which ew, I would never. That doesn't sound like something I would want to partake in orally or otherwise. But anyways, that's the gist of the story, is that her snowman comes to life. And it was just exactly as weird as I thought it would, but also just completely ridiculous. Sometimes, every once in a while I read one of these books that are just completely wild, it's about a door, or silverware. You know, like, I know going in it's going to be ridiculous, but sometimes I'm like, that was ridiculous, but I would definitely read another one by this author as like a silly, goofy time. Or I gotta know what happens to the fork and knife. I know what happens to the spoon, but what happens with them, I need to know. Just out of like morbid curiosity. But this one was just real bad. It was just real bad. I have no intention of reading anything more about Frisky. I don't know if there are other books about Frisky, but I also don't know if I would read another by this author just because it was just not good. Next, I read Provoking Saint Nick by Echo Grace. This one is definitely steamy and smutty, but not, it has a plot. Like, the other one is just straight, like, erotica. There is no plot. Never heard of it. Never seen her. But this one does actually have a plot. So this book is about a man and a woman who have known each other their entire lives. The female main character's brother and the male main character are best friends. And I forget the exact reason, but they decide, I think like their parents are going to try setting them up with people during this Christmas break, or vacation rather. And so they decide to fake date so that they get their parents off their backs. And it ends up turning into more. And like the fun silliness of it all is that her brother wasn't able to make it. So he has no idea that this is fake and is like texting them like, what the hell? That's my little sister. What are you thinking? And instead of just being like, hey, this is fake, or, you know, I promise to be respectful, like he starts sending suggestive things to piss him off. And like she kind of helps with that. But like it is all just fake until it's not. So this one was a 5-star. I really, really liked this. I thought it was so fun and witty. I loved the banter. I am a sucker for a fake dating. I just love it. So this book got 5 stars. Now, when I read this, as you can see like from the cover too, like it looks a little bit silly, but it ended up being really, really good. So the second book was going to come out that same month, and I was so excited to read it. And the second book is Surviving the Holidays. This book is following the female main character's brother and the little sister of the first book's male main character. Now, this one is, it's like the next year, and it's not a fake dating. It is a basically fighting against attraction. And even when they kind of like realize that attraction, she is not ready to even consider it because she is trying to garner her father's approval and take over his company, and she doesn't want to do that by like, you know, being a good wife or getting pushed out of the company to be a good wife. So she really doesn't want anything to do with him. Now, I did not read this book right after this one. I actually read it in February. And that was because there was a whole slew of issues with this book coming out. So it was supposed to release on the 15th of December, which I had read Provoking Saint Nick, I think like the week before. So I was super excited, like next week it's going to come out and I'm just going to read it because it was so good. Unfortunately, one of the older drafts ended up getting published instead of the final draft. So the author had to pull the book from KU and work with Amazon to try to get the right version put up. So that took us all the way to like the end of January when it finally got put up. So at the beginning of February, it was the first book that I picked up. I think I technically picked it up in January, but I didn't finish it until the beginning of February. But anyways, this book got 2 stars. This is another one of my lows. Like, I cannot believe how much I loved book 1 and how much I did not like at all book 2. Like, to the point where I'm almost like, do I even read book 3 if and when it comes out? Pretty bad. So I'm not positive, because I mean, book 1 showed that Echo can write and can write well. So I'm almost wondering, did the copy that I ended up getting once it was republished, was it still the old version? Because there were typos, there are parts of the plot that doesn't make sense. Like, we would be on a sleigh ride and then all of a sudden we would be somewhere, we're in a barn. And I'm just like, when the fuck did we get ice cream?
You stopped off for ice cream. When the fuck did we get ice cream?
So I feel like my issue really isn't with the books, and that maybe if I had the right version that it would have been good, but it was just like, it was so confusing. The whole idea of like fighting this attraction just to be taken seriously by your father, who, spoiler alert, she ends up like not going that route anyway. She decides to go off on her own. So like the whole thing was just like, what was the point? What was the point? And did I get the wrong version still? Which I feel like is possible, because I'm telling you, this book made no sense. There were so many issues of plot and spelling, and it was just a mess. So unfortunately, it was a low. And then we are luckily back to another high, and that is Vicious Fae by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. This is book 3, I believe. Pretty positive. Yeah, it's book 3 of the Dark Fae series, which is a spin-off / prequel series of Zodiac Academy. I don't have a ton to say because it is, halfway through the series, but I really liked this book. I will say I definitely like Zodiac Academy way more than this series, but I am reading it in like the suggested order, so I have to finish this series and then go back and finish Zodiac Academy. But I feel like, honestly, if I'm telling you how to read it and how I wish I would have, which I totally could just stop and do that, but I'm too committed now. I say just go ahead and read Zodiac Academy all the way through and then read this one, because there is another sequel spinoff that happens, I think, after Zodiac Academy, or maybe like in conjunction at the same time as Zodiac Academy, which is Darkmoor Penitentiary, I think is the series name. So I suggest you just read Zodiac Academy all the way through and then read these spinoff / prequel series, because I think that they would be even better if I was like, I love Zodiac Academy and now I need more. So then you have these to reach for. Whereas me, I'm definitely really liking this series, but it's not Zodiac Academy. So I'm kind of like trying to get through them so that I can go back to what I actually love. And that's not great. But I will say that this was, the first 2 were good. I feel like the first one was really good. The second one was okay. The third one, I'm like back in it. I'm like, okay, like, yes, I'm here for this. I want to know what's happening. I want to know, like, you kind of know some things that are going to happen at the end because we see some of these characters later in Zodiac Academy. But then it's like, but some of the stuff wasn't mentioned. So how is this all going to work out? And this is a why choose. So it's wild. I love it. Next, we have our other Christmas romance that did actually get a 5-star. And that is Season Schemings by Katie Bailey. This one follows a girl whose fiance breaks up with her on a live episode of a baking contest that they join. It's basically like the Great British Bake Off, but it's like the live finale episode, and he ends up dumping her on live TV. So it shows that snippet of them breaking up. Actually, I don't even think he was her fiance. I think she thought he was about to propose, but it turns out he's been cheating on her and is going to propose to that girl. So it kind of shows that snippet, and then it fast forwards that she is kind of like reeling from this, still trying to pick up the pieces. She has just gotten a job to be a cook for a hockey team, and her family and her ex's family have always been really, really close, thus why they even got together. And her parents contact her to say that they are still planning on spending Christmas with her ex's family like they always do. So she comes up with this scheme to attend it, but to attend it with one of the hockey players that she works with, who is also her ex's favorite, like all-time favorite hockey player. And they are going to pretend to be together and go to this Christmas. And like I told you, fake dating is where it's at. But this book was so, so good. It was so sweet. It, I believe, doesn't have any sex scenes on page. I know that there's definitely like flirting and some suggested things, but I'm pretty sure it's all fade to black. And I loved it. I thought it was so good. I really loved their relationship. I loved the characters. I loved the growth. I really love when our love interest stands up for the other one. It was fantastic. And now we are back to the lows with a 2-star, and that is Bridget's Bane by Ruby Dixon. I love Ruby Dixon. I love Ice Planet Barbarians and the subsequent books that go along with it, like Ice Home series and things like that. But there are some duds. There are definitely some duds in there, and Bridget's Bane was a total dud. And I'm not positive if this is my least favorite book. I want to say no, that it's not my absolute least favorite, because the other one that got a low rating was more of like a consent issue in my opinion. So I feel like that one, I guess, would be worse. So this is like the second worst book in the series. But Bridget's story is following Bridget and Taushen, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me, but it's following Bridget and an alien. And the whole time in like the background of the other books, we have Bridget who has decided to take a pleasure mate, and they end up not having good sex, and she doesn't want to continue to have sex with him, but he's obsessed with her and he's like, you're gonna be my mate, yada yada. Well, now fast forward to Bridget's book, they have actually resonated, but she doesn't really want to be with him because of how bad the sex was. And it wasn't like, I mean, he doesn't know what he's doing, but it's not so much that, it's that she's just so small and he's so big. Girl, please, get out of here with your first world problems. I mean, like, he does have to learn that you can't just go from 0 to 100. You can't just like, hey, let's have sex. Like, there is some buildup, there is some foreplay, and he needs to learn that. But also, it's just like the entire book is just her talking about how her man's penis is way too big and how is it gonna fit, and it was just ridiculous. Like, I did not care. Like, that's the only issue you guys have. Not good. Next, we have Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Meyer, or Meyer. I'm not positive on how to say it. This gets a 5-star for me, like a 6-star. I loved this so, so much. I feel like this book is definitely one that you're either going to really like it or it's not going to be for you. This is like a cozy fantasy with comedy and slight romance. Like, romance is the focus, but also not the focus. And it's silly, goofy. It's two people fighting attraction. It's a villain and his assistant. It's just amazing. Like, I feel like if you liked Lights Out, you would also really like this, which feels weird to say because Lights Out is very smutty. And I love that book. That's another like 6-star book. But I feel like if you liked the comedy, witty, lightheartedness of Lights Out, then you would also really like this one. And I am so, so, so excited to continue with the series. I listened to it on audio and I loved it. I loved like every single second of it. It was just so fun, and I cannot wait to read the other books. Next is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I have been told for so long to read this book. I have been told I'm going to love it. I've been told that it's amazing. Everybody gives this book 5 stars. They're like, if you love ACOTAR, you need to read this. You're going to love it. And every time I see the title, I see the cover, I see all the hype, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to like that. And then I read the description, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if like I'm still slightly burnt out from my Twilight days. Because when I read Twilight, that is how Book Bite Reviews got its start. I was reading every vampire book, paranormal romance. I was in it. And I don't know if I have just like burnt myself out on those books, because now when you tell me there's a vampire, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm immediately skeptical and I'm like, I'm not gonna like it. Even though I have read many a fantastic vampire romance, but I don't know what it is. Every time I read the description of this book, I'm like, no. So I finally decided to just go ahead and pick it up. And the hype is real. This book is so freaking good. It was so, so good. I really, truly loved this book. I loved it. I ate it up. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. I hear you. I see you. I know you've been telling me the whole time. So if, like me, you're a little bit reluctant and you're like, I don't know, another vampire, just try it. It's really good. It is really, really good. It honestly, I feel like sometimes you get books that are like, if you're a fan of ACOTAR or you're a fan of Harry Potter, like you get these like really big name books and people are like, if you like this, you'll like this. And it's usually like not even comparable. It's like all of the ACOTAR books just happen to have fae, but it's nothing at all like ACOTAR. All of the Harry Potter ones just happen to have magic, but it has not, like, the vibes are not the same. The storylines are not, similar. It's just like, oh, both of these have magic, so you'll like them. Not necessarily. But this book really does truly read like if you love ACOTAR and you want more of those vibes and more of a similar-ish plot line, like definitely not a copy, don't get me wrong. They are 2 totally different series and unique, at least, from reading the first book. But I can honestly say this is something that I would suggest to people who like ACOTAR. It is really good. It's like, it's basically ACOTAR, but instead of fae, it's vampires, but they have bat wings. So you kind of get like the Bat Boys, Check it out. Next is A Crown of Ivy and Glass by Claire Legrand. This was actually my January book club book, and it's a 2-star. It was not good. This book was not good, and I feel so bad because I have read like either a book and a half or 2 of Claire Legrand's. I definitely read book 1, Furyborn, and then the second book, which I can't think of the name, I either read it all or I read half of it, and I still need to read book 3 for sure, so I think I finished book 2, but in order to read book 3, I need to just like start over because it's been so long. I read those and I really, really liked them. Like the only reason I stopped was because so much time passed that I don't remember enough to be able to jump back in. So I need to just start over from the beginning, but I'm excited about it because they were good. So when I picked this for my book club, which is Claire Legrand's first adult fantasy, I was stoked. I was excited. And I try, whenever I'm like really excited about a book, to kind of tamper down my expectations, unless it's somebody that I already know and love and trust. Like I try to kind of temper down just in case it doesn't live up. I don't want to give a book a low star because my expectations weren't met, because I set them too high, you know? So I tried going into it with like, you know, this could be great or it might not be for me. And it was even less than that for me. Which I should have like prefaced this video by saying like a 2-star is kind of a 1-star for me. Like in order to get a 1-star, you have to piss me off. Like you have to offend me. Like I am mad. I am passionate about not liking this book. That gets a 1-star. Whereas a 2-star is just like, I didn't like it. Not for me. Not a fan. Not good. That's a 2 stars. So yes, I did not get along with this book. It is ungodly, too long. There is multiple times where it feels like that should be the ending and it keeps going. And it was just ridiculous. It truly did not make sense. Bad book, not good. I am 1000%. Well, actually, I'm not 1000%. I was going to say I'm 1000% not reading book 2, but that is not true because book 2 is from her older sister's point of view. And I kind of want to know what's going to happen in her book because I was interested in her and like the plot line of that. So I might still read book 2. But like I definitely have not written off Claire Legrand, just book 1 for sure. Then I read Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, and this was a 5-star for me. I really enjoyed this. I feel like Grady Hendrix, his books are kind of like hit or miss. There are some that are really, really good, like Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, My Best Friend's Exorcism, but then there's others of his that like really weren't that good. Like Horror Store, wasn't that great. But if you have read ones like Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and My Best Friend's Exorcism specifically, and you really like those and those were 5 stars, I think you will really like this one. You have that same vibe of this is a decade piece. It is talking about the history and pop culture during that time. It is talking about real world events. And it's kind of scary, creepy, spooky. It was amazing. So this book is about teen girls who are pregnant, who are sent to a home to have their baby and give it away because they are the scourge of society. And it's basically following like how they ended up getting here, what happens to them while they're there, and what's going to happen after. And then on top of that, you have witchcraft. Now, I loved every second of this. I think this is an extremely important book. I think it is a timely book. I think everyone needs to read it because it was just done so well. I never thought that I would be able to definitively say, and to be willing to say, that a book about a pregnant teen girl could be written so thoughtfully and sensitively and accurately and just so well done by a man, by a white cis man.
A white man? No!
I never thought I would see the day, but he did it. But Grady did it. It was great. I loved the role that the librarian plays as a librarian myself. Loved that. Loved it. Just read it. And if you don't love it, I don't understand. If you don't love it, maybe you just didn't read it at the right time because there's no way this isn't a 5-star. Next, we have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Now, before I get into this book, before I tell you if it's a high or a low, book 1, Fourth Wing, 6-star book. Loved it. Obsessed. I can't believe, like, I haven't read something this good in a minute. Book 2. Did I give it 5 stars? Yes. Was it actually a 5-star book? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I feel like that book is like maybe a 3-star at the highest, to be totally honest. But I still enjoyed it. I still liked some things about it. I definitely take account book 1 into the rating factor when it comes to series, but it was not that good. And there was a lot of pressure on book 3 to make up for that, or I may not continue the series. But also, I did go into this book knowing that book 2 kind of sucked, knowing that Rebecca Yarros has definitely said and done some questionable things, but also just being an intellect, and knowing that if this is going to be a 5-book series or 6-book series, whatever the hell it's supposed to be, then this book is not going to have a whole lot happen. Like, it's the middle book. We're going to learn some things. We're going to take like a step or two forward, but it's not going to be groundbreaking. It's not going to be amazing. And I went into that knowing that, and it came out being a 5-star. I loved Onyx Storm. I really, really liked it. Now, did I think it was like the best thing? No, it still wasn't Fourth Wing level, but I really liked this book. I cried a lot during this book. I loved it. It has completely won me over. I am sticking with the series. I'm still buying the special edition copies to go along with my regular limited edition copy that I pre-order. I loved it. It was so good. So if you haven't read Onyx Storm yet, if you were somebody who was like, I read book 2, it was really, really bad, I don't think I'm going to continue on. Just read book 3 and then decide. And if you are somebody who has read it and you're like, it still wasn't good, that's fine. I feel like my 5 stars go in 2 categories. Totally 2 categories. There are some 5 stars that I'm like, this is a 5-star book. I will not hear any arguments. You are wrong. This is a worldwide 5-star. And then there are other 5 stars like this or some of the Ice Planet Barbarians where I'm like, this is a 5-star to me, not necessarily to literally anyone else. And that's fine. And I feel like this is one of those. It is a 5-star to me, and I completely understand if you did not give it 5 stars. Next, we have Dad is Fat by Jim Gaffigan. I am trying to read more nonfiction. Not positive on why. Sometimes I find a good nonfiction, but otherwise it's just like, I could be reading fantasy. I could be reading romance. But in that pursuit, I did pick up one that I physically own, which is Dad is Fat. I went in thinking this is going to be funny. Like, Jim Gaffigan can be funny. Even though this book is about parenting, I thought it's going to be silly stories about his kids or being a dad, and I could relate on some level. And unfortunately, this one is falling in the lows, the 2 stars, because I really it just existed. I didn't relate to a ton. I didn't find it to be that funny. And I was pretty bored. Next is Texting Dr. Stalker by Pepper Winters. This book is one of my 6-star 5 stars. It was amazing. I loved this book so very much. This book literally has the tagline that it is a green flag stalker romance. So I say, if you did not like Haunting Adeline at all, especially because of the major consent issues, which is exactly why I hate it, but you also liked Lights Out or other books that feature stalking, I think you will really fuck with this book. It was so good. This book is obviously a stalker romance. I've said it multiple times already. So we have a girl who is next door neighbors to a guy. Their grandmothers were best friends. And she is in I don't want to call it an abusive relationship because her boyfriend just kind of sucked. Like, she definitely didn't see it as a long-term relationship, and he was living with her because he needed a place to stay. Like, they definitely were not in love. She was not like, this guy's gonna be my husband. And he was never abusive until the day he was. Until the day that he attempted to rape her. Until the day he attempted to murder her. But luckily, a different neighbor, their dog, like, got loose and went into her backyard, and he saw him trying to kill her and got him off of her. Like, it all, like, so she wasn't an abusive relationship, but like, it wasn't abusive until that day, which is completely nuts, but that also happens. So as you can tell, this book is going to be dealing with some very serious topics. This is not a lighthearted book. This is a book where it starts with the trauma, and then the entire book is about her trying to find peace and health and love and respect. So our main character goes through this. When she's taken to the hospital, it is the hospital that her next door neighbor, whose grandmother was best friends with her grandmother, that he works at. And he sees what has been done to her. And he's always kind of had a crush on her. Like, they've always mutually kind of had a crush on each other. And what he doesn't know is that sometimes she watches him through her windows. And it's not like a creepy way. It's just like they happen to both be walking past a window and she stops and stares a little bit. And that's what triggered her boyfriend to become abusive, because he accused her of cheating on him with this neighbor, even though like her and the neighbor do not talk, they don't hang out, nothing. The guy is just literally psychotic. So he doesn't know that it's like his fault. And I'm using that very, very loosely. It is not his fault. None of the characters think it's his fault other than the male main character. When he finds out exactly what happened, he does think like, this is kind of my fault. He then realizes after the attack, because he is her next door neighbor, that she is not coping well. She is becoming agoraphobic. She is pushing people away. She is not going to the recommended therapy. She is just becoming a recluse, and he knows how unhealthy that is. So he decides to get a burner cell phone, slip it in her mailbox, and basically create this persona of a stranger so that she has someone to talk to, so that she can try to heal. It ends up evolving into them hanging out in person, but he wears a disguise and a mask so that she doesn't know who he is. And it's just absolutely fantastic. The consent is there. The empathy is there, the caring is there, the trauma is there. It was so good. Like, again, this book is dealing with some very, very serious dark topics, but it was handled with such care. Like, I could literally see the author just holding these characters in the palm of her hand and just trying to be so careful and do the right thing by them, and she did it. Like, I will be reading Pepper Winters from now on. I need to find more books like this. It was so good. Next is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is another one that you guys, not necessarily you guys, just the world, I guess. Everyone has been saying that this book is fantastic. Nobody has directly recommended that I personally read it, but it has been on my radar. I have been intrigued by it, and I decided to pick it for my book club for February. Now, this book has been marketed as like a World War II inspired story. And I was like, I don't know if I'll be a fan of that. But what they didn't tell me until I finally read the description for book club is that it's actually like World War I inspired, and it's a magical war. It's not a true historical fiction in the terms that we are in a real place in a real time in history, XYZ. It is a historical fiction fantasy, and it was the best thing I've ever read. This is obviously in the highs. It is getting 5 stars. It is a 6-star tiered book. I do not want to hear any sass, any criticism. This book was so good. I am so excited to read book 2. It is a duology, and I'm so excited for it. Because the other really cool thing that nobody has told me is that this book was written in a way that I personally have never seen before. I have read so many books. I have been around the block. I hear things in the publishing industry, and I have never seen a book written this way. So book 1 is like all character development. We truly have no idea what's going on in this war. It's following these 2 reporters, these 2 journalists, and we truly don't know what exactly this war is, why it's happening, or what's going to happen, and neither do our characters. So it worked so well for this to be like a very deep dive into our characters, to really make us care about them, to care about their fates, to care about the people around them, the people that they meet along the way. Like, I care about every single one of these characters so much, and even if I don't like them, I still want to know about them, what's going on with them, where are they, what's going to happen, all of that. And I would assume, and I have confirmed from somebody who has read book 2, book 2 is where we're going to get all of that world building. We're finally going to figure out who these gods are, what's going on, XYZ. All of that's going to happen in book 2, because we don't even meet. So it's 2 gods who are warring each other. That is where the war comes from. And we don't even meet them. We don't meet the god whose side we're on, at least so far, at all. And we technically don't even meet the other god, but he gets like a chapter or an epilogue at the very end of the book. It's the last chapter, the epilogue, we get a snippet from his point of view, and that's it. That's it. And you would think in your head, like, that doesn't sound like it would make sense. But I am so excited. Like, it was such mastery. It was such a good idea. It was so interesting. I loved that. And I don't hear anyone talking about this book. They just talk about how amazing it is, the romance, the relationships, XYZ. I agree, but how come no one's talking about the structure? Because it was inventive. Next is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This is my second Ali Hazelwood that I have ever read. And I did go into this book being salty as hell about this book because, like a fucking idiot, no one's fault but my own, I thought that this was book 2 to Bride. When they announced Deep End, I was like, I'm so excited. I need to pre-order this. This is book 2 to Bride. I'm ready. And it's not at all. It was not at all. I'm dumb. This fall, though, it is out, and I'm excited. So this book is actually a college sports romance between a swimmer and a diver. It does also have light BDSM representation in it, and I feel like the people who did not like this book have some very valid reasons. I've definitely seen people not liking it because it feels like our female main character is not the star of this book, especially the star in her own romance, and I feel that. And then another criticism that I'm definitely seeing, which is super valid, is that you wrote this book saying that it was going to feature BDSM, that it was going to be kinky, and there was hardly any kink in sight. And I get that, and I totally respect that, and that is totally valid as well. But as somebody who hasn't read a lot of books like that, I love this because I felt like this is a perfect introductory book into BDSM and kink. I think if you're somebody who hasn't tried it out yet, like, you need books that will ease you into something different, and this is that book. This is not going to be the new #1 BDSM romance. This is going to be a stepping stone to get into that genre. And I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. So good. So good. Like, the third act breakup, while I hate a third act breakup, I did feel like this one was done pretty well. And I really, really like how the characters came back together, and not just including our romantic characters. I'm also talking about the friendships that are in this book. I could have easily and totally thought that there could have been some cattiness, some ruining of female friendship, and in any other book, I think that's exactly what would have happened. Before this and Bride, Allie Hazelwood was known for, like, fanficky STEM romance. And that is nothing that I am drawn to. So I had never read Allie Hazelwood until Bride came out. And I will say that in Bride and in Deep End, we are still getting STEM representation, but it is not being blasted out that way. And I don't know if Allie and her team taking on a different marketing strategy, but it's working. If that is what their intent is, this was the smartest way to do it, because you are now getting the girls like me who are not attracted to a STEM romance, but who would still really, really fuck with it. Like, there is still STEM. Our characters are still dealing with STEM careers, and it was fantastic. So, like, now that I know kind of what to expect from Allie Hazelwood, how well she can write, and, you know, just how, you know, scientific or smart. Because, like, I don't ever want to feel, like, too dumb in a book as well, which is probably why I'm not drawn to books when they say that it's, like, a STEM romance. Like, I want women in STEM, obviously, but, like, do I care about them kissing around the beakers? Not necessarily. But now it has shown me what Allie can do, which is what everyone has been saying, and now I get it. And now I will be reading those past books. Like, even though they are fanficky, so they might not be the best, I'm excited. I will be reading her backlist. I'm still not convinced to read her teen book that's like Checkmate or something that's about chess. I still think I'm drawing the line at chess, but I will be checking out her other books. Our last 5-star for the video, for the quarter, is Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Raish. This is book 2 to The Nightmare Before Christmas. And guys, I truly don't know if I like book 1 or this one better. I truly don't know. I will say that there is a third act breakup. I hated it. It did not make any sense. It didn't need to be done at all. I feel like it was literally just there for the traditional structure of a romance to have a third act breakup, because it didn't make any sense. There was no need for that to happen or for it to last as long as it did. It was nonsensical. It was not needed. I didn't love that. But otherwise, the book was fantastic. And even in book 1, there's also a third act breakup that seems pretty dumb, but I feel like book 2, like, just pushed it. Like, it seemed even dumber than book 1, but also, like, the rest of it kind of made up for it. So I truly don't know. I think they're on, like, equal footing, which I feel like you hardly ever get with a sequel. If you have not read Nightmare Before Christmas, please go do so. And if you have, go read this one. And now the last book that falls in the highs and lows that I read in the winter quarter. The book that I honestly think I am changing the rating to a 1 star because it just pisses me off that much. And honestly, it was that bad. So I think I'm officially changing it to a 1 star. And that is The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. Now, this is an older teen book. It is a book that has been sitting on my shelves that I read for a read 'em or reap, but it's so bad. It is so, so bad. I think it is so comical that when I was vlogging for this book, that the first 5 chapters, I was like, oh, I'm intrigued. I'm here for it. I'm excited for this book. I'm reading it. And it is going to be so interesting to see if they convince me by the end of this book if they are meant to be together, because they have known each other. Like, the entire book takes place in 24 hours. So I was like excited to find out, are they going to convince me that this is a forever after relationship or not? And I was expecting it to not, but I was expecting to like enjoy it, get like a 3 or 4 star, and move on with my life. Little did I know that this book, after chapter 5, takes a giant nosedive and is just so bad. Like, the title is so apt because the statistical probability of some of these things that happen in the book happening, or even just one of these things happening, is extremely low. But the statistical probability of any of these things happening all within 24 hours is impossible. It is not possible. It was dumb. So dumb.
Oh my god. So dumb.
Like, you could have picked any event that happened in this book, and the likelihood of that happening was already low. But then all of these things, like, I'm just getting pissed off, you know? So yes, this book is getting 1 star. It is not good. If it's sitting on your shelf and you're like, maybe one day this sounds like a good time, I used to really like Jennifer E. Smith, just get rid of it. It's really, really bad. Unless you want to hate read it, just get rid of the book. And don't pick it up if it's not on your shelf. Don't even look at it. It's a dumb book. I don't know what Jennifer was thinking. Maybe this would have been all right if I read it when I was a teenager, when I originally bought the book. But I think even then, it totally would not have gotten 5 stars. Like, it still would have been like, okay. It would have got like a 3 or 4, like I was expecting. But it was just really bad. So bad. So dumb. So bad. Alright guys, those are all of my highs and lows for the winter season. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to keep reading, stay safe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!
People say be